Assalamualaikum. Today we will discuss the impact of the JPY per USD exchange rate on Japan economy with a focus on its influence on inflation. Let's start with some background information. Currently, exchange rates are critical economy indicator, especially for countries involved in significant international trade. The relationship between the US dollar USD and the Japanese yen JPY is particularly important due to the strong trade and financial connection between the United States and Japan. Understanding the impact of fluctuation in the JPY per USD exchange rate on Japan economy is crucial for policymaker, business and investor. Economic Masaki Yoshimori research highlight the challenges of modeling exchange rate and the effect of monetary policy. Japan's ultra-loose policy, like qualitative and quantitative monetary easing (QQE), have led to yen depreciation, affecting the real exchange rate. Exchange rate affect a country's competitiveness, influencing import and export prices, inflation, and economic stability. For Japan, fluctuation in the JPY and USD rate impact important costs and the global competitiveness of Japanese goods, affecting domestic inflation. This presentation aims to analyze past JPY per USD exchange rate patterns, understand how fluctuation affect imported costs and exported competitiveness, and examine the impact of Japan monetary policy on inflation and exchange rate. This insight will help stakeholders and policymakers make informed decisions. Understanding the JPY per USD exchange rate dynamic and their impact on Japan economy is essential for effective policy and business strategies.
Hi, my name is SHERINA. I would like to explain the definition and type of exchange rate. The exchange rate is the ratio at which one currency is exchanged for another, affecting global trade and finance. There are two types of exchange rate, which is fixed exchange rate and floating exchange rate. Next is factors influencing exchange rate are inflation rate, which are changes in inflation impact exchange rate through purchasing power parity, and lower inflation leads to currency appreciation. Other than that are interest rate, which are the central bank set interest rate that affect exchange rates. Higher rates attract foreign investment and increasing currency value. For this slide, I will explain the overview of Japanese yen and US dollar exchange rate. In the 1980s, the Japanese yen appreciated due to the Plaza Accords, while the 1990s brought volatility from Japan's recessions. During the 2008 financial crisis, the yen strengthened as a safe haven currency. The 2010s saw a weakening of the yen due to economics. In the 2020s, COVID-19 pandemic initially strengthened the yen, but subsequently, US interest rate hikes and Japan ultra-loose monetary policy led to depreciation.
Hi, my name is AISHAH, so I will present about impact on inflation. Firstly, import price and inflation. The yen rapid decline in value could negatively impact people in Japan, since Japan relies on importing fuel, food and raw materials, so inflation could increase. In conclusion, when the JPY depreciates against the USD, the import price generally higher. As a result, import price will be higher, then Japanese importer needs more yen to buy the same amount of goods priced in USD. Next, export competitiveness and inflation. Yen depreciate adds pressure to Japanese economy, especially affecting export and import. In the past, Japanese export used to be more competitive when the yen depreciate because Japanese goods become more affordable and more attractive for foreign buyers. Higher demand for export can help the economy grow, increase production, and may cause higher inflation if the economy reaches its full capacity and price due to high demand. Lastly, monetary policy and inflation. The bank controls interest rate to manage currency and money supply. The bank has maintained extremely low interest rate to promote inflation, stimulate bank lending, and enhance demand in the economy. For example, the US Federal Reserve high interest rate to curb inflation, while the BOJ keeps rate low to create higher inflation. I will pass to the next presenter.
Hi, my name is Leah. I'll be explaining on the theoretical frameworks, which is purchasing power parity. Well, what is purchasing power parity? It is an economic concept that compares prices in different regions. It is based on the law of one price, which state that with the transaction called the even trade pairs. So an example I would like to give it is Japan and the United States. If the inflation rate in the US is higher than Japan, the PPP suggests that USD should depreciate relative to Japan to equalize the price levels between the two countries. is international future effects. So it means that interest rates to inflation, stating that nominal interest rate equals the real interest rate plus inflation rate. The international future effects suggests that differences in nominal rate between the two countries are offset changes by the exchange rates. So, example I would like to give, Japan has lower nominal interest rate than the US according to the IFE. So the Japan should appreciate against the USD, impacting the Japan's inflation rate, especially given its significant international trade. And lastly is the interest rate parity. So it means that there is no arbitrage condition that links interest rate and exchange rates to maintain equilibrium in the forex markets. It prevents the riskless profit from the covered interest arbitrage. The forward discount, as example, is 3% differences, right? Aligning with the RP theory, which connects the interest rates with forward spot change rates to prevent arbitrage opportunities. A high Japan value lowers import prices and aggregate demand, reduce inflation while depreciated Japan increases import costs. Policymakers and investors must understand these dynamics to manage interest rate, currency rates, and also inflation effect.
Okay, next, I will discuss the policy implications and recommendations related to the role of the Bank of Japan, strategies for managing exchange rate impacts, and recommendation for policymakers and business. Role of the Bank of Japan. The BOJ ensure economic stability through: number 1, monetary policy. Monetary policy adjusts interest rate and use measures like quantitative easing to control inflation and stimulate the economy. Number 2, financial oversight. Regulates bank and acts as a lender of last resort. Number 3, currency management. Currency management issues and manage the Japan's currency. Number 4, economic analysis. Research and analyze economic conditions for informed policy decisions. Number 5, payment system. To ensure smooth operation of payment and settlement system. Number 6, global cooperation. Global cooperation works with other central banks to maintain global financial stability. Number 7, transparency. Transparency communicate policies and decisions clearly to the public. Next, we will discuss about strategies for managing exchange rate impacts. Number 1, currency market, which is intervention, government actions to stabilize exchange rate. Number 2, interest rate, adjustment, influencing currency values and economic stability. Number 3, reserve management, managing foreign exchange reserve to reduce volatility. Number 4, fiscal policy, to maintaining stable fiscal policy for economic stability. Number 5, exchange rate regimes, choosing between fixed, flexible or managed floating exchange rate. Number 6, business hedging, using financial instruments like forwards and options to hedge currency risks. Number 7, diversification, diversifying operations, currency holdings and maintaining a flexible supply chain. Next, I will talk about recommendations for policy makers and business. Policy makers part, number 1, monetary policy. Be flexible and consider unconventional measures to adjust inflation targets as needed. Number 2, fiscal policy. Use fiscal stimulus during economic downturns. Balance growth stimulation with long-term debt sustainability. For business, number 1, show monetary policies and adaptation. Plan for a low interest rate environment and high interest rate and currency risks. Number 2, investment and innovation. Invest in R&D and upgrade digital infrastructure to improve customer experience and operational efficiency.
To conclude, Japan's inflation rate has been affected significantly by the currency appreciation and depreciation, particularly against the USD. When the Japanese yen appreciates against the USD, it becomes stronger, making imported goods cheaper and reducing inflationary pressures. On the other hand, when Japanese yen appreciates against USD, it becomes weaker, making imported goods more expensive. Thus, Japan's economy is impacted significantly in terms of import prices, export competitiveness, and overall inflation. Achieving economic stability requires the effective management of exchange rate and inflation. This can be achieved through the implementation of monetary policy by the Bank of Japan, which influence interest rate and money supply. The Bank of Japan implements various monetary policy that influence interest rate and money supply to maintain stability. To meet targeted inflation objectives and minimize negative impacts on the exchange rate, the BOJ employs strategies such as interest rate adjustment and quantitative easing. To bolster economic growth and resilience, policymakers should synchronize fiscal policies such as government spending and taxation with monetary measures. For businesses, it is crucial to implement hedging strategies to mitigate exchange rate fluctuation, invest in innovation to remain competitive, and adjust to current interest rates. Given the profound impact this fluctuation can have on Japanese economy, it is essential to practice adaptive strategies and proactive measures to ensure economic stability and growth.